Talking Sports with GBO and Amp. My name is Charles Gilbert. I'm here with my co-host, Anthony Watson. On today's show, we're going to go through and talk about the Duke Mayo Bowl, which is going to be Thursday, December 30th at 11:30 at the Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte, North Carolina. The two teams you got there is University of South Carolina Gamecocks versus the North Carolina Tar Heels. You've got coached by North Carolina, Mack Brown, and then coach of the South Carolina Gamecocks, Shane Beamer. So on today's show, we're going to talk about some key players in this matchup, for the North Carolina Tar Heels. We're going to start out with them. So, Anthony, on this matchup with the North Carolina Tar Heels, offensive-wise, who you look to get some things accomplished against the Gamecocks?
It's got to be Sam Howell. He came into the year Heisman. Hopefully, was top 5 Heisman coming into the year. North Carolina was ranked top 10 preseason. They had some a little downfall of a year coming into the season with such Heisman hopes and top 10. They saw themselves playing the ACC championship. They didn't really expect to be in the Duke Mayo Bowl, but here we are now. They finished the season 6-6. But I think Sam Howell is going to come up and build up that draft stock a little bit. Some guys at his caliber, they decide to opt out and not play in this type of bowl game, considering they don't really mean too much, but some bragging rights. So Sam Howell is going to come out and play. I think he's going to show the NFL what he's got one last collegiate game. I see Sam Howell wanting to come out and establish a run against this South Carolina defense. South Carolina's gave it up 200 yards out of 9 games. They gave it up 5 games out of those 9, and I think they're going to come out and try to establish a run, maybe get some rushing yards going. And those games that South Carolina has allowed 200 yards and more rushing, they're 0-5. So if you're a North Carolina coach and see that stat, you're going to try to establish that run and get those yards up there because when South Carolina's plays from behind, it's just hard for that offense to get some points going. I see Sam Howell coming out trying to establish a running game and throwing it. So they're going to want to put this high-pressured offense to the task against this South Carolina defense.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% in terms of Sam Howell. North Carolina offense, they're going to go as Sam Howell's going to go. So when you look at what actually Sam has accomplished as he's been at North Carolina, if a lot of people look back at his recruiting, Sam actually was committed to Florida State for a long period of time, and at the end, decided to go play for Mack Brown for the Tar Heels. So a big pickup from Mack Brown, and Sam's done a really good job there. Very disappointing season, though, for North Carolina and for Sam Howell because big time, accomplishments was out there for them. But, think about it, though. Sam Howell is crazy to think about it. He's ranked 22nd nationally all-time passer. He's passed the 10,000 mark, which is a big accomplishment for Sam. But also this year, he threw for over 2,800 yards. He had 23 touchdowns and 9 picks. You look at who else has really performed, had a good season for North Carolina Tar Heels. That's Ty Chandler, the transfer from the University of Tennessee. He's came in, he's rushed for over 1,000 yards. So too, the ground game's been, really his, and he's done a really good job so far this year. Plus, he's a good pass catcher out of the backfield. So it's been a good compliment for Sam. In terms of his wideout, there's one guy, and that's Mr. Downs. Downs has had an incredible year. He's got 98 catches on the year. He has over 1,200 yards receiving for the year. And then when you look at it, he's got 8 touchdowns. So really, really strong performance from Josh Downs. So when Sam Howell drops back to pass, he's really looking at one guy, and that's Josh Downs. So South Carolina has to be all over that, and they've got to know that, when Howell drops back to pass, that his number one target is going to be Josh Downs. So that's to look at North Carolina and their offense in this game, and some key guys, key players that are going to have to perform for North Carolina to pull this victory out. When you look at South Carolina's offense and some key players on that, who you got in terms of South Carolina?
It's got to be Kevin Harris coming out and establishing the run for this South Carolina Gamecock offense here. They already lost their running back White to the draft. He wants to get ready for the NFL draft. So Kevin Harris should have a heavy workload coming into this game. You got Zeb Nolan starting at quarterback. Everybody should know his story. He's a grad assistant coach. He thought he was going to come to South Carolina, help coach his team, and little did he know he's going to be putting on some pads and playing in a Duke Mayo ball game for this Gamecock team. Both O-lines are coming in pretty shaky, allowing a good bit of sacks, a lot of quarterback hurries and pressures. Both defensive lines are going to be looking to attack, I believe, early and often, but it's going to be about Kevin Harris for the South Carolina offense, establishing the run, taking some of that pressure off Zeb Nolan and letting him find out some wideouts downfield and complete some passes. But I believe Kevin Harris will get a heavy workload for the South Carolina offense.
Yeah, and talking about Kevin Harris here, Kevin Harris led the SEC in rushing last year. A lot of people forgot about that. Kevin Harris is a big-time back for South Carolina. And I think with the undisclosed injury currently with Marshawn Lloyd, that really leads to a big-time performance tomorrow for Kevin Harris. So Kevin should get a heavy workload for sure. And then if you look at the quarterback positions you were talking about, Zeb Nolan,
Yep.
Think about how crazy that is. You're coming in, you're going to be a grad assistant. You done played your football. You played at North Dakota State. You transferred to Iowa State. And then, you get a tap on the shoulder because of injuries. Doty goes out and you really don't know what you got from Jason Brown.
Yep.
So, you tap into Zeb Nolan and, hey, we need you to come back. I know you got some eligibility left. So just think of that. That's just crazy to think about. But, the other thing is how well he's performed in those situations. That's a tough situation to be in. And for, him, really getting the wins against Eastern Illinois, East Carolina, and then we all remember the drive that he had against Vanderbilt. So really strong performances in those games by Zeb Nolan. So, he really has to manage the offense tomorrow. Yeah, the ground game's got to be effective for them to win this football game, no doubt about it. But at the end of the day, North Carolina's defense has not been very good.
Yep.
They've given up over 170 yards rushing per game on the season. So I do expect Kevin Harris to have a big game tomorrow and to South Carolina to be able to run the football. When you look at South Carolina's defense, they've got their big defensive end rusher that has opted out of this game. So you've got 2 5-stars that's got to perform.
Yep.
They've really got to step up and perform, which is, I'm talking about Zach Pickens and Jordan Birch here. They've really got to step up their game and perform tomorrow to give the Gamecocks a chance to win this football game. So that's some of the key players for us in terms of this Duke Mayo game. We're also going to give you guys our predictions of this game. So, Anthony, you want to give you your predictions?
I'm going to say the UNC Tar Heels are going to get the victory here. I'm going to say a 31-17 victory for the Tar Heels. I believe South Carolina has a lot to look forward to, though. They're going to play hard for Coach Beamer. I believe they all want to be there and show them their support and try to get him his ball victory. I just don't believe that offense this year enough to be able to get that done against this North Carolina team. But like I said, I do believe South Carolina has a lot to look forward to next year. They got some big-time transfers coming in. They had a top 20 recruiting class this year. I believe they got a lot to look forward to next year for this Gamecock team. But I do see UNC pulling this victory out, 31-17 matchup.
Okay, there you go. You got your predictions from Anthony. Before I give you my predictions, I do want to say, man, you think about, before the season began, a lot of people were only expecting the Gamecocks to win 3.5, 4 games, and they're rolling into this thing 6-6. I mean, new head coach, first-time head coach, Shane Beamer has done a phenomenal job with this program. So too, what he's done, he had big victories against Florida, really took them to the woodshed, and then you've got the big victory against Auburn. So Shane has done a really, really good job with this team this year. So if I'm a Gamecock fan, I'll be proud. But going in this game, my prediction, I do got the Tar Heels pulling it off 31-27. I think it's going to come down to a last-minute drive, and I think Sam Howell is going to pull it off. I think about Sam Howell and his career, and his first collegiate game was against South Carolina at Bank of America Stadium in Charlotte. So, I'm going with the Tar Heels on this, really because of Sam Howell. I think he's going to lead his team to victory tomorrow. But also, too, if you guys would leave your comments in the section below to tell us who you're going to go with. Are you going to go with the Gamecocks, or are you taking the Tar Heels tomorrow? So we appreciate that. Also, too, thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next episode.